Football predictions from the year 2015. This is 9 years ago now, so let's see which of these they got right. Neuer will win the Ballon d'Or in a shock result. This was a massive shout around the time. Obviously, he had just done what he had done with Bayern Munich and winning the World Cup, so it seemed like it was bound to happen, but just shows how strong Messi and Ronaldo were at the top of those Ballon d'Or rankings. But I feel like Neuer definitely deserved the Ballon d'Or in one of those years around 13, 14, 15. Messi goes to Chelsea. It just didn't happen. There was so much drama around this for so long, but if Arsenal don't get Champions League football, I can see Wenger leaving, possibly retiring. Spot on. I mean, it just made sense at that point. Obviously, a lot of fans were sick of him by that point, but when he left, it was clear how much he was propping up the club like Fergie was at United. Celtic make it to the last four of the Europa League. I don't think they ever did, but Rangers then came along and did that before Celtic could even make it anywhere in Europe, which is crazy. Messi signs for PSG because he misses Zlatan. I mean, he signed for PSG a few years later, but probably not because he missed Zlatan. Sanchez will flop at Arsenal. Completely incorrect. Sanchez was one of the scariest Premier League players around that time. So Ronaldo has a terrible start to the season after getting a bad haircut in pre-season. Once his bangs grow back, by Christmas, his form will return. What was this guy on to? Suey! Noodle hair Ronaldo, as we know it, was one of the best forms of Ronaldo we've ever seen. And I mean, in 2014-15, I'm pretty sure he scored. It was one of his highest scoring seasons ever. But Noodle hair Ronaldo, alien. So this guy was predicting something with saying, once his bangs grow out by Christmas, his form will return. No. Man City will buy Royce and Pogba, and Toure will go the other way. Royce and Pogba, no, not quite. Oh, Pogba went to Man United and Royce just stayed. Real Madrid repeats the Champions League winners. They didn't repeat it that year, but they then went on to do a three-peat a year later, so outrageous. At least one FIFA official gets outed for bribery. I swear something like that happened with Barcelona. Was that ever proved? Everton will get relegated. They still haven't got relegated after all this time, but they scrape it every single year. Dortmund to win the Champions League. Let me believe. Okay. I mean, Dortmund are still in the semis 9 years later, so could this be their year, the underdog miracle? Fingers crossed. By next Christmas, Barcelona will be struggling to maintain top four and will potentially need Champions League triumph to stay in the tournament. They won the treble. Southampton and West Ham both make Europe. Southampton were balling out around this time in 2014-15. I think they got Europe. They did get Europe. You know, that team was outrageous with Heller up top, Lallana, Mane, Van Dijk. I mean, come on, that team deserved to get Europe, and obviously they got picked apart, and Lampard leads Man City to the league title and scores the winner FA Cup final against Chelsea. This didn't happen. Lampard did score against Chelsea, but obviously it didn't matter much at that point. Leicester and Sunderland will finish in the top half. They did the season after. 5,000 to 1. Leicester ended up winning it. What did this guy know? Xavi will become player manager at Barca and win the Champions League. Well, weirdly, a few years later, Xavi goes along and becomes the manager at Barca, but he doesn't win the Champions League. He wins the league. I think that's pretty good going. Liverpool are going to flop. This is around the time Klopp joined, and Liverpool, there were just no holding them back after that. A few players were signed from that Southampton team, should I add. Ozil and Sanchez will form one of the best Premier League partnerships the league has ever seen, leading Arsenal to the Premier League title. So close, yet so far. Giroud probably let them both down. They would have gone down in history as one of the best if Giroud had learned to finish his dinner. A player will bite Luis Suarez. I think pretty much the season or two before, 13-14 season, he bit Ivanovic, so City will win the Champions League. Well, 9 years later. Barcelona are going to have another bad season with Neymar, Suarez and Messi flopping. They literally had the best season anyone could have asked for. I'm pretty sure most people put them three down that season as the best ever, so he couldn't have been more wrong. Juventus do really well in the Champions League depending on how their transfer window goes. This guy predicted this at the start of the 2014-15 season, and they got to the final that year. They obviously lost to a very good Barcelona. Liverpool win the Europa League. They fell short to Sevilla. Messi to New York City FC. Well, he went to Inter Miami in the end, but that wasn't a thing in 2015.